I'm Danielle Dietrich, and this video is to talk about an alternative to federal diversity certifications that is through a private organization. And so, as anyone who's in the space knows, a lot of the women and minority-owned certifications or disadvantaged certifications within the federal government are being challenged and are disfavored by the current administration. So, I am doing some vlogs on some alternatives that might be helpful to your business. So today's is going to talk about the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce certification, LGBTBE certification. According to the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce, companies with this certification, quote, gain access to procurement contracts within NGLCC's network of corporate and government partners, end quote, leading to relationship building through matchmaking and networking events throughout the country. They also provide, as an organization, education, mentorship, leadership training, and other business development services. And that is generally through sort of a network of more local LGBT Chamber of Commerces, or Chambers of Commerce, I guess would be proper. And I definitely encourage you to check those out in your area if you're a member of that community or if you are a friend of that community and are interested in networking with businesses owned or interested in supporting these kinds of organizations. And I do have personal experience at the local level and found some fantastic networking through our local Chamber of Commerce focused on the LGBT community with some really great individuals and really great corporate networking opportunities. So the first step in certification is, of course, making sure that you qualify. The company must be at least 51% owned, operated, managed, and controlled by an LGBTQ person or persons who are either U.S. citizens or lawful permanent residents. The business must be independent from any non-LGBTQ business, which means it can't be a front or a pass-through or like an arm of another business. And it must be headquartered and formed in the U.S. So the controlling owner or owners must prove that they identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer. Of course, that it's kind of a tall order and can be challenging to prove this. So the NGLCC has put together, it's a pretty extensive list of documentation that you can submit to prove that you identify as one of those, as a member of one of those qualifying groups. So just to give you some examples of how you can do that, letters from 3 personal references attesting to the LGBTQ status of the business owners, including an affidavit. So an affidavit is a document that you swear to under penalty of perjury in front of a notary who has to sign off on it. So that's, make sure that people, it adds a little bit layer of protection for people who might be being dishonest. Another thing that you can produce is a marriage certificate, domestic partnership registration, or civil union certification. Evidence of completed and attempted parenting and family building efforts, including second parent adoption or surrogate mother arrangements. Evidence of having suffered discriminatory action due to your LGBTQ status, such as a police report, HR report, court documents, any articles in the media that note that the owner is of an LGBTQ status. Proof of joint ownership of assets with LGBTQ status explicitly stated. So something showing joint ownership of a home, for example, it says husband, husband, or same-sex / domestic partner / spouse. Or, some other public recognition of the owner or owners as members of the LGBTQ community. And like any other certification, the applicant business also has to provide a slew of documentation all about the business and the owners, and there is a checklist provided by the certifier. And you can expect to have to provide all of your corporate documents, employee information, tax returns, rental and purchase agreements, and some contracts, all that sort of thing. So once you put in all of your information and they review it, you will undergo a site visit, and that gives them the opportunity to ask questions about your application, learn more about your business, and really make sure that the applicant individual is who is controlling the business. And then after that, the National Certification Committee reviews your application and makes the final decision on certification. So, this certification is actually one that does state that the overall process usually takes 60 to 90 days, which is pretty quick, but that is from the time they have all of your application materials. So, if you submit an application but you're missing some things, you're just drawing out the process. And the certification is good for 3 years from the date of certification, after which you do have to be recertified. There is a fee for certification and recertification, but that fee is waived for applicants who are valid current members of their local affiliate Chamber of Commerce. So all the more reasons, it's not that you would want to anyway. And of course, all documents submitted to them for application are kept securely and access is limited. I know that's always a concern. If you have any questions or need assistance with any issues involving a certification, please feel free to reach out to me.